Hey, it's your friend on the other end, Takia, and welcome back to Cash Your Cares podcast, where faith meets reflection. This is your space to slow down, grab your journal, and process life through the lens of faith. Life gets busy, and our minds can feel cluttered, but here we take a moment to breathe, reset, and refocus. So before we dive in, let's take a moment to pause. Let's take a deep breath in and let it out. Whatever you're carrying today, know that you don't have to carry it alone. So let's get into it. Hey, it's your friend on the other end, and welcome back to Cash Your Cares podcast. I know, it's been a minute, but I just wanted to get on here because it's about to be a national holiday. June 27th. It will be my birthday, and as I approach 35, I've been in a place of reflection, of course. Not just about birthdays and milestones, but about growth, about grace, and about how much God has been faithful to teach me. Even in the messy, slow, quiet, and confusing seasons. So today, I want to share with you some things I've learned before turning 35. Lessons that shaped me, humbled me, stretched me, and are still shaping me today. Some are deep, some are just gentle nudges, but all of them are real. And trust, there's still more to come. So here's the quick list of lessons that I've learned before 35. Growth isn't always loud. You can be soft and strong at the same time. Purpose evolves with seasons. The power of listening, planning with grace. My voice, it matters. I learned that faith is my foundation. I've also learned that it's okay to pivot. I learned that joy can be intentional and that spiritual growth requires surrender, not striving. I learned that rest is a weapon, not a weakness. Journaling, which I feel like I already knew, but it just came to my mind, that journaling is a tool for healing and clarity. Discipline can coexist with grace. Consistency comes from discipline. Comparison is not only the thief of joy, but it's the thief of confidence. Small steps lead to big shifts. A very important lesson that I learned is that God's timing protects and prepares me. I learned that creativity is a calling and not just a hobby. I learned that motherhood is a ministry too. And confidence isn't loud, it's rooted. That is a lot, right? Now let's slow down and go deeper into a few of these lessons. I kind of grouped them into 3 areas that basically transformed me. The first section is spiritual growth and identity. The second section is personal development and discipline. And the third section is purpose, creativity, and relationships. So let's dive into it. Honestly, I'm learning that my spiritual life has been the anchor of basically everything else. So one of the lessons that I said earlier was that faith is my foundation. I've definitely learned that no matter how ambitious I am, how busy life gets, or how unsure things can be, when I pause and cast my cares on God, peace finds me. And so when I cast my cares, I make room for peace. Another one is that spiritual growth requires surrender, not striving. I've learned over the years that I have become a striver. Not become, but I was a striver. And so I'm learning that it's not about checking the boxes or trying to impress God or prove to him that I can or cannot do something. It's actually about letting go of control and letting him lead. Now, has this always been easy? No. Honestly, it's still a tussle. But I'm learning that growth happens when I stop trying to fix everything and start trusting the one who already knows what's happening. I have to let go and let God, as they always say. And with that, learning to surrender in my spiritual growth, I learned that God's timing protects me and prepares me. There was always a time where I felt like I deserved this, I deserved that, just because of like who I was or who I knew or anything like that. And when there were times when God actually allowed me to get what I wanted so quickly, and I realized that I was not ready for that. Those seasons where I thought I was actually delayed, it was really God protecting me or preparing me. A little bit of both, because when I thought that I wanted what I wanted and he gave it to me, I wasn't ready for it. But when there were times when I thought that I was in the waiting and I was in my feelings about it, I learned that when I finally got what it was so perfect for me to hold and to handle. And so with that, I learned that my voice matters. Launching Cash Your Cares, man, it reminded me that I don't need to wait for permission to walk into my purpose. It reminded me that my words does have power. It reminded me that my testimony is my testimony, not just for me, but for others. And what God puts in me, it matters. And that it's not too late to be who God has called me to be. It's not too late to say what God wants me to say, but I need to say it. It just reminded me that casting my cares, saying my words, saying my thoughts, it's important to not let it be a battlefield in my mind or in my heart. Another thing that I learned with the Launching Cash Your Cares came the journal, and then the journal parties, and people asking me how to journal and how it taught them to release as well. So another lesson in that is that obedience unlocks the impact. And so speaking of journaling, I do have a journal prompt for you. And I think this is a pretty good time to reflect and recollect all the things, being that we're in almost the end of June, which is half of the year. A good question that I feel like is important is, who are you becoming? And if you still don't know that, I think part of that question could be asked is, what do you need to release to grow to become that person? So I just wanted to throw that journal prompt out there. I think I may have another one too, because section 2 talks about the lessons that I've learned in being with personal development and discipline. Okay. Now, discipline, man, discipline. That being a disciple of discipline is a task, but I understand that with discipline, you don't have to be hard on yourself. When I was in the military, like when we were, being disciplined, when we had to be IT'd, when we had to go out, like we were disciplined, and the drill instructors, they were hard on us. Like they gave us the business because they wanted us to be disciplined. They wanted us to understand the importance and the impact of what we were doing and what we were called to do. And so not just in the military, but like through life, period, I equated being having discipline or being disciplined, that it was correlated to being like hard on yourself. And like if you didn't get it right, if you didn't check the box, that equates to striving. But what I'm learning is that you don't have to be hard on yourself to be disciplined. I've learned to give myself grace while still holding myself accountable. Being accountable is what leads to discipline. And with you being disciplined comes consistency. I remember like back in the day, I would get on Facebook and ask like, how do you be consistent? Like, what do you need to be consistent? Like people would give me different answers, but the answer that I feel like I would give myself is discipline. You need discipline. Now, granted, you become inspired, or you become motivated, and then you become Or no, I said that wrong. You start off being inspired, which leads to being motivated. And then but the motivation leaves, And so with you being motivated, you continue to be disciplined. You have to discipline yourself when the motivation leaves. And when you're disciplined, then you can become consistent. And so it's not about feeling motivated every day. Trust me. It's about showing up even when you don't feel like it. And that's where the fruit of consistency comes from, showing up, again, holding yourself accountable. Motivation, again, it gets you started, but discipline is what is supposed to keep me going. And that's a everyday battle. Again, sometimes an hour by hour battle where sometimes I don't want to do what I'm supposed to do, what I'm called to do, with all the things, but it's all about showing up even when you don't want to. It's about being disciplined, and that's what keeps you going, to be consistent. And inconsistency, I learned that planning, having a plan with grace is important. I have been one that has tried hustling. I have had one time in a period, on a period of time, my words, I had 3 jobs, and I was, just a workaholic, basically. I was a workaholic, so I've tried the hustling thing. I've also just tried to just wing it, just the day of, just try to wing it. But I'm learning that what really works for me is creating a rhythm. I am a dancer, so rhythm is important, right? So building and creating that rhythm is what gives me room for responsibility and rest. I don't need to be busy in order to be aligned with what God wants me to do. I'm learning that being busy doesn't mean that you're productive. I'm learning that is a difference. Busyness can cause damage in a lot of places. And that's where learning to rest is important. So that's where I learned that rest is an actual weapon. It's not a weakness. In my hustling days, I, team, no sleep, grind to get it, all the things. Just grinding to get what needs to be done, and just always proving and showing that I can show up when I was exhausted. And with me being exhausted, I wasn't always alert. And so I had to learn to rest. Actually, God made me rest when I got sick and I had to sit down for a period of time. I couldn't move, and people had to help me up the stairs and all the things. I had to depend on not only God, but I had to depend on people. And I had to learn that rest is important, but not only in the physical realm, but sometimes rest is important, honestly, mostly in the spiritual. It's productive for us to rest so that God can restore us. So when we're rested, that's when God can actually do what he needs to do and restore us. And so that in itself is a small step for me, and that led to big shifts. I've learned to celebrate the progress. So small steps lead to big shifts. I have learned to celebrate the little things. I used to be what I think is a big picture girl. If I didn't have, $2,000 in my bank account by the end of the week, then I I didn't meet my goal, as a business owner. That's what I thought I had to, have. But I had to understand that small things lead to the big steps. If I got 2 orders or 3 orders in a week, and I still made, appointments and things of that nature, that is a big thing. So it's not just the results. Even in my healing journey, if I feel like Like, y'all know I'm a crier. So like if I cried in a conversation, like I feel like I failed, or if I only said one word in instead of shutting down, I had to learn that that's a process, that's a progress for me. Instead of me shutting down or saying all the things or listening to not respond, those are little things. That's growth. So healing, growth, and success comes one faithful step at a time. And so my next journal prompt to you is just, what small steps can you take today that your future self will thank you for? Is it going to therapy? Is it going to the gym? Is it taking a nap throughout the day? Or maybe not throughout the day, but like after work or something like that. What is the next step that, you'll do today that will help you tomorrow in the future? And so lastly, my last section that I put together, I guess, it's purpose, creativity, and relationships that I learned about. And this, man, I believe that every part of our story is connected to be impacted by somebody else, or just yourself. And so I learned that my purpose, just like small steps leads to a big shift, I learned that purpose evolves with the seasons. Everybody is always in a different season, and there's gonna be seasons that you're gonna be in regardless. And so I used to think that purpose was just one thing, but now I'm learning that it unfolds. Being a mother, being a friend, doing podcasting, having a journal, dancing in ministry, going to work, meeting somebody at the gas station or the coffee shop, it's all connected. And so whatever season you're in, it needs to be lived in intentionally. And that's a winter season when everything is bare and there's nothing. When there's a spring or a summer season when everything has blossomed, or like I said, the summer season when you have to work hard. It's all for a purpose. Your purpose will change within the season. Another thing that I learned is that creativity is a calling. It's not just a hobby. And so I had to understand that being creative is actually, I feel like in my heart, a ministry, because planning a journal party or a birthday party, or planning just things in general, drawing and dancing and singing, and just expression of how good God is, or just your emotions. Creativity is sacred. The creator created me like this. I thought it was just something that I was, but it can be a ministry. God made me this way to love music and to love dance and to love the arts and love planning things, and he's made me this way for a reason. And I had to learn that my creativity, it is sacred. It's important. It's not just a thing. And so with that, I had to learn that comparison doesn't only steal joy. It's a thief. Comparison is a thief, but it's also a thief of confidence. Again, because I compared myself to so many people, I didn't see me for who God created me to be. I thought that I was, I knew I was too much, but I thought I was too much. I know that I am a lot. My emotions, the way that I love, the way that I express myself, all the things. And so sometimes I used to compare myself, and sometimes I still have these moments to where I'm not as poised as other people, or, I don't talk as eloquently as everybody else, or, all the things. I don't learn like everybody else. And so I used to compare myself and not enjoy who I was or who I was becoming. But I'm learning that there's no need to compete when you're called. I'm learning to root myself in who I am, also not what I see other people to be. I don't have to keep up with the Joneses, as they say. I just have to keep showing up. Every day is a journey. Every day is a battle of just learning to be okay with myself and how God created me, and going to him, and the things that are not of him, changing, of course, but the things that he did create and the things that he wants me to grow in, I have to learn how to enjoy that and not try and be like everybody else. And that's okay. Not like to be like rah, I'm so different, but to enjoy who I am, not to purposely, the word that's coming to mind is sabotage, but that's not it. I guess sabotage friendships or relationships just because I'm different. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I don't have to be like everybody else to enjoy who I am. So, and with that, I had to learn that joy can be intentional. Sometimes because I would compare myself, I would obviously find myself down and out in the dumps, and because I did that for so long, it was hard for me to climb out of that pit of despair, or just sadness or depression or anxiety or just all the things, or jealousy. And so I had to talk to myself and get myself out of that rut. And sometimes I have to schedule, a time for me to do something that brings me joy, whether that's going outside and going for a walk, whether that's going out to hang with my baby girl, whether that's going to hang out with friends, whether that's going to go, just go get some ice cream. I had to learn to schedule that and not just wait for it to show up, because if I stayed in that pit of despair and just all the things, I would never find it. So I had to make it. So sometimes joy doesn't always happen. Sometimes it's something that you have to create. And so I had to learn that for myself. And then, tell others. And so, so those are some things that I learned before 35. And so I'm also learning that 35 isn't a finish line. It's just a reminder that I am always growing. We are always growing. We are always evolving. Even in the craziness of the world today, we still have to take it day by day, hour by hour, because Jesus is still, present with us, and he still loves us. And so, 35 is, I'm about to be 35. I can't believe that. The crazy part is I really can't wait to be 40. I know, like, everybody was so ready to be 20, and like the 20s were like wild. The 30s, I'm unlearning a lot of things. But 40, I know it's gonna be chef's kiss. Like, I see all these. Anyway, I'm grateful for where I am now. 35. I'm thriving at 35. I'm vibing at 35. So yeah, I'm just grateful that God loves me so much for me to get to 35. I have friends who did not make it to 35. But God, I am grateful just for another year to see his goodness, his greatness. I know what I've been through. I can't wait to see what he does for me in the future, what he does for me now. And so, again, like I said, I'm always going to grow. I have made that known for myself, that there's always room for me to grow. There's always room for me to evolve. And I know that means that I'm always going to be refined by the one who created me and who knows all. So with that being said, I want to challenge you this week. I want you to grab your Carecasting journal, and I want you to write a list of things that you've learned. Share 3 of your lessons with a friend, with your parents, with your co-workers, or you can share it with your people in the Facebook group, the Cash Your Cares Facebook group. And of course, you can share it online and tag me. But I just wanted to let you know you don't have to figure it all out at 25, 35, 45, 55, 60, because every day we have to renew our minds. Every day we have to get closer with God. Every day is a new day. And so, of course, if this episode blessed you, I want you to send it to a friend who's also growing through her 30s, her 20s, her 40s. I want you to send it to any friend, every friend, Again, you don't have to figure it out by yourself. So, again, until next time, friend, I don't want you to rush the process. I don't want you to downplay your progress. And don't do it alone. I want you to cash your cares, keep growing, and I'll talk to you soon. Until next time, peace. That's a wrap for today's episode. I hope this conversation encouraged you to cast your cares on God in every moment. If today's episode blessed you, I'd love for you to share it with a friend. Leave a review or connect with us over in the Cash Your Cares Facebook group. Let's keep this conversation going. And hey, if you're looking for more encouragement, journal prompts, or faith-filled discussions, be sure to follow along social media or check out the latest resources at Cash Your Cares on Instagram. Until next time, friend, peace.